Alrighty. So can you please start for me by saying your name and what branch you served in?
Okay. My name is E.O. Box. E period O period. Just the initials. I never did have another name. The last name is Box. Just a great big square box.
Okay.
Junior. E.O. Box Junior is my correct name.
Okay.
Now, as for my age right now, I am 104, I think is correct.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I won't miss it much, maybe 1 year. Insofar as my experience during the time of World War II, I never was actually in the conflict area.
Okay.
I flew in the northern Atlantic area, looking for German submarines most of the time.
Okay.
Later on in the war, it was shifted a little bit towards the south, and then after the war was over, or about over, we began to be more concerned about Russia as we had been about Germany. Germany was past by that time.
Mm-hmm.
And so our interest seemed to just making sure that Russia did not get any foothold in our territory, say Cuba, down through the islands and that area. And we were pretty successful with that.
Okay. So you were in the Air Force?
Pardon?
You were in the Air Force?
Yes.
Okay.
I flew as pilot or co-pilot, as the case may be, to change it, in a small bomber, capable of dropping bombs. Ordinarily, we call them fighter planes, because our interest primarily was able to attack a German submarine or attack any other ship or aircraft that might be in our way. So that's pretty much what I did. And to tell you the honest truth, we had very, very few actual contacts. I think we took down, we maybe have taken down 3 German aircraft. I'm not sure all 3 of them, but I'm sure at least a couple of them. And that's pretty much it insofar as the war itself. A large part of the time we flew as sort of Coast Guard, guiding our submarines in the direction where we thought German subs might be, so they could attack also. But after all, submarine, you may spot it, but once it gets underwater, you have to make a guess. And so you like to be able to spot it from a fairly high altitude, and then direct your own submarines either below water or surface to try to attack. And that's pretty much the job of the type of aircraft that I flew in. I say flew in because we had it both ways. Generally speaking, you were capable of being a B pilot or A pilot. Sometimes pilots were not, regular pilots were not available, or sometimes they were injured. You had to fill in one way or the other. That's about the way I saw it most of the time.
Did you enlist in the Air Force? Did you enlist in the Air Force, or were you drafted?
No, I was not drafted.
Okay.
I had been flying some. As a matter of fact, I had been teaching in the flying program in college. One of those colleges up here in Hillsboro, Texas, junior college. And I had been flying some myself before we actually got into any war, and I taught flying either as a pilot or, the student, either as a pilot or a co-pilot of the aircraft.
Okay.
In order he or she, yes, we had some women too, to do their part, and heavens knows they did a pretty darn good job of it too. That's about it.
Can you tell me a little bit like so what was it like? What like when like even when you were in the military, like what was the climate? What were people thinking about the war?
Well, that's peculiar in a way. I never thought at all I'd ever be in the military. And all of a sudden, bang, here you are. One Sunday afternoon, I was living up here in Hillsborough, Texas. I was in a very well-known filling station called Grimes Garage.
Mm-hmm.
And we getting some ammunition. A friend of mine and I were going out with new 22 rifles, just do what we did. We'll go plinking. Just shoot tin cans and shoot whatever. Just cut her up, couple young men. So when we were in the garage, and we got word then that the Japs had attacked Pearl Harbor. And with that afternoon, those were not, shall we say, those were not tin cans on the fence that we shot damn Japs. Get that one, Jim? And that's the way I got into the actual war itself.
Okay.
First, I had been teaching aviation training, and then I got to I was still teaching aviation training. Maybe, because after all, a pilot has to do a lot more than hold up the airplane. He has to go to ground school, find out what surface it is, how he's going to attack it, and that basically was my job. I can't think of anything right at the very moment similar to that. But that's what I did.
Okay. How old did you say you were when the war started?
When I went into the service, I was about 23.
Okay.
About 23.
Okay.
I was teaching at the junior college up there.
Okay.
And I was teaching aviation training, teaching young men how to fly an airplane. And then all of a sudden, they got bad enough that they had no more not only fly the airplane, but likely to be in combat. And sure, most of them did end up in combat.
How did you get into I know you said you started before the war, you were teaching aviation training. How did you get into that in the first place?
That's a hard question to answer. I always liked to fly.
Okay.
I remember as a young man, still in college, we used to have guys that just come through your town, flying on an airplane into your town, and take people up for a ride.
Oh, okay.
$2. They put about 2 people in the seats. Really should have had only one.
Oh, wow.
They didn't have to have a whole lot of fuel because these were only short flights. So they'd take you up with $2 to $3, give you maybe first or second training in an airplane.
Oh, wow.
And that's where I got interested in it.
Okay.
And as I say, later when I was teaching at Hill County Junior College, and things were getting a little pretty rough. Before the war started, we began to teach aviation training. We got 2 flight students in there. We're teaching them how to fly. The first thing you know, we had a whole bunch of guys flying airplanes. In almost every college, in the United States, was beginning to teach aviation cadets to fly and it grew very rapidly. And firstly, you know, we were in the first class war, and that's about all I could see. You just kept fighting.
What did you love the most about flying?
Pardon?
What did you love the most about flying?
What is that?
What did you love the most about flying and being in a plane?
Oh, well, whether it's wartime or not, just the simple idea of being up in an airplane and controlling, and while I didn't always thoroughly enjoy some of the tricks, it was kind of like fun.
Okay.
Do loops and few other things. I got pretty sick sometimes too. It's just a fun to fly in an airplane.
Okay.
Particularly planes we had then. There were some called closed cockpit.
Okay.
Most of these so-called barnstormers would come through your town on Sunday afternoon, land in a police field out there somewhere, and take them passengers $2, fly around town, down to the post office, where you can see downtown from there for the first time ever. And that's a thrill. It really sends you out ready to go, wanting to fly. And the first thing I knew, I was teaching youngsters how to fly an airplane. Not that I was a very good pilot, but I just got them started. And then the main thing I did after that was teach them air navigation. After all, it's not easy to be up there and know where you are. So you've got to know what your airspeed is, not what the temperature and the speed of the plane is, but what the air temperature and the airspeed.
Okay.
You know, you can have wind in one direction and you want to go in another direction. Your actual speed in the air may say 150, but you may be going crosswind. As far as the ground is concerned, you may go more than 120. All those are air navigation things that you learn. So really I did most of my teaching from the ground, but I was not a true pilot instructor.
Okay. So did you continue teaching after the war ended?
After what?
After the war ended?
After the war ended, that's kind of hard to say. Because we were doing certain things during the war, all of a sudden found ourselves having to go back and do the things maybe we taught to do in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And you relearn teaching skills. For example, I taught chemistry and physics in junior college up here at Hillsborough at that time. Well, when the war was over, you might not be in Hillsborough. As a matter of fact, when the war was over, I found myself just recently transferred to Corpus Christi.
Okay.
Well, why Corpus Christi? Well, the war was over, but we still had kids that wanted to fly and needed to fly, and I stayed and I helped set up the training program for the basic training command of the Air Force to teach students, ladies and men, how to fly. And I did that for a while until, well, we had about enough instructors. And I needed a job. And so I found an opportunity, completely apart from that. I found an opportunity up in Oklahoma, working for an oil company as a research chemist.
Oh.
Chemistry was my main part in school, and I had taught college chemistry before the war started. Flying was just fun, more or less, until it became serious. So after that, I don't know. and I ended up living in Oklahoma for the next 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Who wanted to live in Oklahoma? Well, I lived in a town called Bartlesville, Oklahoma, which was the headquarters of an oil company.
Mm-hmm.
So I switched from the flying and teaching to actual laboratory work as a chemist. Because I was doing college training. And that brought me up to date.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it.
Did you enjoy like your work with the oil company?
Did what?
Did you enjoy your work with the oil company?
Oh yes. When you get a hold of a young lady, I don't really know what you know to, that likes to fly, they are probably the most eager, and I think make some of the very best pilots. So that's why I was teaching nothing but ground school.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole lot to learn about ground school. Because
Thank you very much.
you get up on an airplane fly, but you don't
You
necessarily
look very
know
nice
where you are.
today, Miss Mary.
Navigation, learning by here and there and where and how.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that for a while longer until I was really out of that completely and worked for the oil company as a chemist for the rest of my career.
Okay. But was flying just something you always enjoyed? Was flying just something you always enjoyed?
Always.
Always?
Now, I never did, I never did own an airplane. Like a lot of people, I didn't really feel like I had the money to spend on an airplane. I would fly them every chance I could get.
Mm-hmm.
And I flew cross country. By cross country, I mean from San Francisco to New York.
Mm-hmm.
Just 200 miles.
Okay.
Almost anybody who would fly. And I served as a navigator.
Okay.
Navigation, I thought at that time, was mainly done, and it's amazing how accurate our maps are. You can map read and look down and tell pretty much the landscape below you. You learn pretty much where you are. After all, you see the rivers and cities, and so you fly by looking and seeing those landmarks that keep you going. All of that is before the really developed air navigation, which you have control of the aircraft by looking at radar or something like that to tell you where you are in your direction.
Mm-hmm.
And for that time, I'll tell you the truth, I'm getting kind of tired of that. I've got a career as a chemist in an oil company.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I did the rest of my life.
Okay. I'm gonna jump around a little bit. What do you remember from when the war started? Like I know you said you remember when they said the Japanese had attacked Pearl Harbor, but is there anything else that stands out to you, like about when it started?
I know exactly where I was at the time the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor. I was in a garage, a filling station in Hillsboro, Texas, called Grimes Garage, and we were simply buying some ammunition for 22 rifles just to go out and shoot tin cans from wherever.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I said a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
After that, that's when we found out that the Japs had attacked, and we played like every tin can was damn Jap. And so we killed Japs all afternoon with tin can. You know, members like that, it seems kind of silly. But on the other hand, what do? Find yourself in a war, you're not active in it yet. You know you're going to be somewhere, somehow. And so you get out there and what else to do? Kill chaps.
You said you remember taking down just a few German ships. What was that? What was that like? Do you remember?
What was it?
You said you remember taking down some German ships. Like, do you remember what that was like?
We tried to.
You tried to. Okay.
And spoke of submarines. Well, you know, it's not easy to get a German submarine, but it's much easier a surface vessel, whether it be German, Japanese, or what. At that time, if you could spot them, you had aircraft fire coming at you. If you're trying to attack, you could come in from high and then try to come in like this. You got a pretty fair chance of getting your object and not being shot down.
Mm-hmm.
I said, of course, the main thing is get your object and prefer not to get shot down too. It's not what you call fun. You're excited when you do it, and you're scared to death. Being scared doesn't seem to register. It's almost like I got a job to do, but you don't even think about that. You just go ahead and do it. And that's about it.
Is there anything else you'd want to say about your experience or anything like that?
About what?
Is there anything that you'd like to say about anything you've experienced or anything like that?
I can't think of anything at the moment.
That's all right.
I thoroughly enjoyed flying any time, and except at night. I never did night flying. Or night flying is almost like instrument flying, and I was never one of those trained pilots. Amazing this. You are a pilot trained to fly that airplane entirely by instrument. And you can't see a dang thing out there with stars, baby. But still, you're responsible for flying that airplane. It has to be maintained at flight level, airspeed, all those factors that control the airplane. And you don't have time to do much of anything else. And that's the way it is with modern pilots, airline pilots. Of course, we have radar, we have beams, that they can fly the beam, almost take the hands off control and fly. So it's really amazing how an airplane can be flown down almost by itself. Like they have been experiments where the airplane had no human being aboard. And that's very, very rare, just with examples. On the other hand, they built that up by having a pilot aboard, but hands off, and learning how that the airplane can be controlled. And so, in that way, and as that developed, and you got good control of the aircraft, we began to develop airline passageways. And at night you could see beam, a red light beam, and follow that beam. What's even better than that now, you don't see a beam, there is a beam. And the airplane is controlled strictly by hand and instrument. That's the amazing part. And I never did have much experience with any of that, just more or less trial. I was scared to death doing that.
Okay.
That's not all I can think of in that direction.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for talking to me. I really appreciate it.
Well, I enjoy doing it.
I have something I'd like to give you. If I can find it.
experienced pilot.
Mhm.
I am not a professional pilot.
Mhm.
Professional pilot has different ideas on how to control that airplane. And so these guys fly the big planes now, airliners. It's fantastic. The instruments that they have to control that plane and can virtually almost fly from one side of the nation to the other without doing a darn thing but sitting in the cockpit and watch it.
Mhm.
It's amazing.
Mhm.
I wouldn't want to be flying like that if I knew it. No, they don't, but they could.
Mhm. I want to give this to you. It's something I'm giving to veterans.
Thank you very much.
Of course. Thank you so much for your service and everything you've done.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, what I've told you is the truth. Try not to exaggerate because there are lots of guys that learn to fly. It's just a sheer pleasure of it.
Mhm.
In fact, that's really true the way I did. I was teaching up here at Hill County Junior College. Flying was just fun.
Mhm.
And it gets more and more serious. More and more you fly, you're super serious because I'll put that right here. No, I can't put that right there. One-star general. I'm not a general.
Mhm. All right. Thank you very much for talking to me.
Yeah, I enjoy it very much.
Let me
Enjoy it a lot.
turn